There's no doubt that there's been a tremendous shift in the way that we sell. And yes, it's now in the times that we're talking about now, where there is a pandemic, where there is an issue that we deal with, but I don't believe it's ever going to go back to what we had in the past. Virtual selling is here to stay. It's not just going to disappear in one day. It is the new norm. If we look in this new norm that we talk about, suddenly 73% of the communication that I used in the past disappeared. Body language, the ability to read the customer, the ability to set up things in a certain way, the ability to go to the whiteboard and start drawing something with the customer, that's gone. Doesn't exist anymore. Then on the other side, we're sitting with a situation where one click, and the customer's gone. If there's something more interesting for the customer, he's going to go somewhere else, whether it's a spreadsheet or an email arriving. If you don't speak in a way that keeps the customer engaged, he's gone. So in this new world that we talk about, one of the things that's critical is, how do I get the attention of the customer? And how do I keep the customer's attention? I've got to keep the customer engaged every second of the way. There are three things that I've got to do to keep the customer engaged. The first thing I've got to do is to show that I'm a credible source of information, myself, my company, or the offering that I'm bringing to the table. There are many ways that you can get credibility, but the easiest way to do that is to talk about a successful customer that you've got and a happy customer. The second thing that I've got to do is to demonstrate empathy in my communication. Empathy that I understand the customer's issue, their pain or their need, and I really understand why it is important to them. The third thing I've got to do is to show that we are an authority in our field. So we understand how to solve the problem of the customer. We even understand how to take it to the next level, or even challenge the customer that there might be an alternative to what they are thinking. And if I can do those three things, which means credibility, empathy, and authority, I will build trust with the customer and increase my chances of actually getting the business. You know, I've seen many salespeople, when they communicate to a customer, you can see that they're trying to get the credibility. You can see that they are showing the empathy. You can see that they're trying to be an authority, but it doesn't land correctly with the customer. What I mean, it doesn't land correctly with the customer. We all differ in the way that we communicate. Some people like the facts and the detail. Other people like the big picture. Other people like to be more emotional. And other people like to have very much a structure in the way that you communicate. And what we all naturally do is we communicate our own preference without even knowing it. And if my preference is different to the customer's, I'm going to talk right past the customer. And even if I try and demonstrate those three things, try and demonstrate, credibility, empathy, and authority, if I don't resonate with the customer when I communicate to them, this is what's going to happen with the communication. And I'm not going to have the ability to build the trust that I need to close the business. I'm going to illustrate this by using a real-life example, something that we're very familiar with, and that's buying a car. And I would like to show also how people differ in the information they would like to receive when they buy that car. People differ. So let me illustrate that in terms of the way that they communicate and what they communicate when they get the information about that car. Firstly, we get the analytical people. They would like to know the exact price and what's the exact monthly payment, what is the top speed of the car, and what's the fuel consumption of the car. And if they don't get that information, the message does not resonate with them. Secondly, we get people that are very methodical. They want to know things like the warranty of the car, the service plan, how do I complete the purchase, what are the steps that I've got to follow to actually complete this purchase, and finally, is the car compliant to all the rules and legislation about cars out there. Thirdly, we get the visionary people, the big picture people. They want to know things like, it's the car of the year of 2020, it's a great design, it's the talk of the town, you can add lots of options, and it's got the latest and greatest technology on the car. And then finally, we get the connected people, or the emotional people. They want to know things like, it's a great family car, it's got airbags to protect your family, it's got roadside assistance, so if something goes wrong, we will come and help you. And finally, it's really a joy to drive. And you can clearly see that people differ in the way that they communicate. And when you are, for example, an analytical salesperson, and you're selling to a person that's connected, you can see that clearly your message is not going to resonate with them. So I've got to change the way that I communicate. I've got to make sure that I understand what my own preference is, and also understand that people differ. And when I communicate, I've got to change my message in such a way that it resonates with the customer. What we do at To Interact is exactly teaching people on how to change the way that they communicate and make sure that they resonate with people out there. And the first step that we do is we actually teach people a framework of good communication and how people fit into that framework. Secondly, what we do is we show people what their preference is in the communication. And the third thing that we do is we make it real and practical. No matter what you sell, we're going to make it real and practical for your organization. How you talk about your company, how you deal with objections, how you talk about your product or offering to the customer. We've got to make sure that it resonates every single time that we deal with the customer. And the biggest thing that we do is to make it practical. This last part that we talk about is to really, the moment the sales guy walks away from being trained by our trainers, they understand how to apply it, and they can apply it immediately with great, great success. The most critical part of any salesperson's job is the ability to close a deal. And if they don't close deals, they're not being successful, so they want to close the deals. And that's one of the key things. If I can communicate in a way that resonates with people, that I can show credibility, I can show empathy, I can show them authority, I can build the trust, then I've got the ability to actually get a deal. And if I can keep the customer engaged every second of the way, my chances of actually getting the business goes up quite dramatically. And convincing the customer becomes much easier if I can resonate with the customer. And that's the true benefit of going through the program that we do with To Interact, of teaching people communication intelligence in sales.